Falcons Nation? Rise Up Nation, it's your boy Jazzy Jeff. Real talk, no gimmicks. Bring that real Falcons talk to real Falcons fans. And if you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe button for future content, and welcome to my channel. Now, the preseason. Is it worthless or is it important? Do we need 4 games? Do we need 2 games? Do we need no games? Now, as you know, in recent news, the NFL has made the preseason cut down to 2 games. And NFLPA is talking about completely erasing the preseason from our season. Now, it got me thinking, do the Falcons need the preseason? Who is it important to? Who is it not? Who is it bad for? Who is it not? So I wanted to talk about this in a historical context to see the importance and some of the bad parts about preseason. So my first topic about preseason, and the good part, is developing players. And basically what I mean by that is giving players the chance to either show what they're capable of as rookies, or to show new players and new systems a chance to develop and grow within the system. So my first example was Ricardo Allen. Now, shout out to Mad Mike. Me and him were discussing this earlier. He brought it up as a candidate of a player who came out of nowhere and rose to be a solid starter on our team. The brains of the operation, Rico. And Rico was drafted from Purdue, I believe, out of the 5th round, and he wasn't meant to be that much of a key element of our player. We already had Robert McLean on our team. Now, when Ricardo was drafted in preseason, he didn't get a lot of snaps at all and barely did anything until week 4, where he had 4 solo tackles and a pass deflection. Now, this game proved that he was good enough to even hang in there. Even though he was cut on the final roster, he got re-added to the practice squad. And from there on, the rest is history. He ended up being the starter free safety on our team, and he hasn't left since. Even with injuries, Ricardo Allen shows that he is the brains, he is tough, he battles through adversity, and he was worth keeping around because of preseason and how well he fought. And you think week 4 preseason, no one tries in that game, no one cares. Ricardo was out there working his ass off because he wanted to prove how he can be on this team, and the preseason gave him a chance to showcase that. So that's one reason why the preseason is good. Another reason, example I have is Marvin Hall. Now, if you guys know, Marvin Hall was drafted in, well, he was actually drafted by 2 other teams, but he was taken by the Falcons in 2017, and as a rookie on our team, he showed a propensity to have a good vertical route running skill set, mostly vertical seams. And in the preseason, he showed that on several occasions. He averaged about 18 yards a catch. He had about 2-3 catches each game, and each catch was for about 17 yards. And the reason I bring this up is because in the regular season, when he was forced into action, Marvin Hall ran the same exact, almost identical routes, and he scored touchdowns twice on each of those routes. And I wanted to show you that here, and we'll come back and talk about it. Marvin Hall in the preseason, and then Marvin Hall in the regular season.
To see it go away. Ryan steps up, throws behind his receiver, but a beautiful catch there down to the 5-yard.
Ryan. And Ryan going down. He's got a man wide open into the end zone. Touchdown. Marvin Hall.
Against 5'11".
Ryan wants all of it. And he's able to get it. Marvin Hall.
Now, if you notice the plays, they are almost identical plays. And that trust from Matt Ryan to throw those passes in the regular season was all because of what Marvin Hall did in the preseason. He showed he can handle that route in big moments, make the big catch. Now, unfortunately, obviously, we let Marvin Hall go because we have so many wide receivers on our roster, and we can't keep everybody. But the tape was out there good enough on Marvin Hall for the Detroit Lions to sign him, and he had a decent season in Detroit. So, as a vertical threat. So that is what I'm talking about. Preseason is important in that aspect. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is knocking the rust off of veteran players, or veteran players adjusting to newer systems. Now, obviously, you know we've added Todd Gurley, we've added Hayden Hurst, we've added Dante Fowler, guys that came from different teams. Now, Todd Gurley needs to knock off that rust. Number 1, because of his knee injury, and number 2, because of our zone run scheme system. Now, with the Rams, they ran a lot of misdirection. They ran a lot of fakes They ran a lot of bootlegs, and their offense was a lot of more smoke and mirrors, a lot more gadget-type plays. He's not going to get that here in Atlanta. It's going to be one-cut zone running scheme, and Matt Ryan is going to be throwing with not so much smoke and mirrors. So Todd Gurley's got to learn that system. He's got to knock that rust off. And in preseason, you can do that without it counting as live bullets. Because in the regular season, we don't have time to wait around for guys to pick up to speed. So it is going to be very important for Todd Gurley to learn the system, as well as Hayden Hurst, who came from Baltimore. Baltimore is super, super run heavy. Hayden Hurst played behind Mark Andrews, who got all the love. Hayden Hurst on this team is going to be our primary tight end, and we throw a lot more. And he's going to be doing a lot more pass catching, less run blocking, and so he needs to learn the system. He needs to get familiar, and so that's why I feel like preseason is very important for him. Dante Fowler's another one. Obviously, it's a different position, but he still needs to learn how to flow and build chemistry with other players on our D-line. So that's another pro with preseason. Now, let's go to the cons of preseason. And if you are a Falcons fan, this is probably the first thing on your mind. Now, one of the biggest gripes people have about the preseason is unnecessary injuries. And what better example than Michael Vick in the 2003 season? The Atlanta Falcons were playing the Baltimore Ravens in a meaningless preseason game. Michael Vick scrambled out the pocket, was brought down by Adalius Thomas, and awkwardly broke his fibula. Michael Vick proceeded to miss 11 regular season games. The Falcons finished 5-11 and were dead last in the NFC South, missing the playoffs. Now, in today's game, as you see, a lot of superstars and aging veterans, they completely just miss out on the preseason, just sit out the whole time. Some starters get a couple reps here and there. For the most part, a lot of stars just completely take it off. When I was growing up, stars and starters played a lot in the preseason. They played heavily in the preseason. It's kind of like the Pro Bowl, where back in the day, stars played all the time in Pro Bowls, and they played their hearts out. And nowadays, they just take it as a joke, and they just stand around and do nothing. And so I think that's the trend moving forward. Guys are getting pulled out to avoid these unnecessary injuries because they are invested in the future of the regular season, and preseason games are not that meaningless. Which brings me to my next point. They're too long. I don't believe 4 games is necessary to evaluate your players. I believe 2 games is enough because, let's be honest, the 4th game is a dress rehearsal for the regular season, and it's all 4 stringers and just seeing who you're going to cut or not. So 2 games is good with me. Also, the playbooks are vanilla and you get limited reps. Players say all the time, reps and rhythm is the most important thing to knock off rust, to get back into game flow and game shape. And you can't do that in the preseason when you get 1 carry here, pulled out, 1 carry, 2 carry here, pulled out. You know, running backs need 20 carries a game. Quarterbacks need reps throwing the passes a game. And it's hard to do that in the preseason. And I've seen guys take a lot of plays off. They're not playing as hard. They're not tackling as hard. And only the guys trying to make the team are trying their heart out. The starters who already know they have a role aren't trying that hard. And then the final thing is the playbook. They're vanilla. You want to save everything for the regular season. You don't want to show your ace in the hole, so you're not going to show it. You're going to play basic defense. You're going to play basic offense. And actually, a lot of times, injuries result from those because it's easier to key on people when they're not using any misdirection or anything to fool you. And one example I want to bring up for my last point is Jake Matthews. And my last point is people overhype players and over-criticize players in the preseason. Jake Matthews was atrocious in his rookie year in preseason. He had multiple holding penalties, and he just didn't look like the Jake Matthews that we know and love today. And then a lot of people were writing about, is he a bust? Did the Falcons make a mistake drafting him? Was he ready for the NFL? And as you can see, he's fine now. And a lot of times people also overhype players and think that they're going to be amazing. And then when the regular season hits, they don't do nothing. So those are my cons to the preseason. I think the preseason is a necessary evil. That's what I'm going to call it, because you do need the reps. You do need the development, but at the same time, you want to avoid the injuries. The games don't matter, and a lot of times it's hard to judge it. It's kind of like the combine where you don't really know what you have until the live bullets are flying. So that's my video, Falcons Nation. You tell me in the comments section below. Do you like 4 games? Do you like 2 games? Do you like no games? Let me know in the comment section below. Please subscribe, like, share. If you're on Twitter, retweet this video. And as always, Falcons Nation, we rise up.